So, hello everyone, I'm Sebastijan Orlić from Croatia. I will present myself at the end of this short lecture. Just I would like to share maybe some glimpse of my research and some of the collaborations I have here in Croatia and European Union with longevity industry partners from mostly from Croatia, just to see that even in this part of the world we are developing tools and measurement methods to measure some of the aspects of related to longevity. So when we are talking about longevity, we as a human civilization now have some good period, I would say, besides some of the events that are happening, that we are now blessed to engage the longevity and all other quality of life prospects. So today, each and every one of us on this planet are having at least one of those three goals. We are fortunately living in a pandemic of obesity, so very not so small amount of people needs to address the goal number one or start. But we are today speaking about, mostly we'll be speaking about longevity and vitality, which can be summed as quality of our lives, which we want to explore and to of course to optimize. So according to the environmental and the modern society settings today, those cannot be achieved without interventions in nutrition and in physical activity, as the colleague before me also pointed out. So unfortunately, where we are now as a civilization, it looks like we are going backwards in evolution, because I couldn't decide what visual is more suitable, but let's say the both of them are correct. The left one is pandemic one, and the right one is, as we can say, unfortunately, today people, because of the modern society settings, are not healthy and are really, their quality of life is declining a lot. A lot of this modern society outcomes is related to inappropriate calorie intake, which is often larger than calorie expenditure. But this simple equation is not so simple regarding the parameters and factors that are influencing it. And now we can see from this visual that all different settings characteristic for modern society is now very actual. So high energy density and poor environment, sedentary lifestyle, and also different diet mentality, for example, and also the life stress and past trauma is heavily influencing this equation. So what are the consequences? Today, we are living in a vicious cycle where people do not have motivation to exercise. They are living sedentary lifestyle. In each and every case, it will result with, for starting, insulin resistance, loss of muscle mass, which is called the sarcopenia, and then with time we develop overweight and obesity regarding different measurements. Usually people are using this poor alibi of aging as a leading cause of sarcopenia and loss of muscle mass. We can see on the right side the MRI scan of upper leg, when we can see the decline in muscle mass and rise in fat mass in upper leg during the aging process. But sarcopenia is a consequence of different parameters, not only aging. It usually, all of them are mostly regarded to lifestyle. So can we use age as an alibi? Of course we cannot, because the chronological age is moving, but we can get older or younger via biological age totally differently, in different pace. So today we know also via the same MRI scan that older and active people would have almost the same MRI scan as the younger people in population. Daily steps are not here, and surely this muscle mass isn't the result of daily steps only, but daily steps are here just a result, as a signal of active lifestyle. And we see here that even body mass is not crucial. The fat mass and the muscle mass is the ones that are making the difference. So today we are living in a pandemic of obesity, and usually we can call it now, especially in this longevity area, the pandemic of systemic chronic inflammation, because the fat mass is like an inflammation pool and inflammation hub. So it only depends with time in which part of our health those chronic inflammation will result in declining of physical and mental health. All of those potential consequences are shown on the right side. So cancer, Alzheimer, neurological diseases, cardiovascular disease, which is the leading cause of death in modern society right now, also diabetes type 2, and so on and so on. So usually, and we must address it clearly, that obesity is the #1 enemy of longevity and quality of life, and usually this is something that is not so well communicated in the public. So today, luckily, when we are starting to speak about longevity, we have 2,000 plus publications that are showing that there are hallmarks of aging, which are the triggers, which are triggered by systemic chronic inflammation. I will address few of them. And now we can see in some publications that there are no biomarkers that can show us the systemic chronic inflammation of low grade, and we cannot measure it. But I would say maybe there are some, and let's stay tuned until the end of this presentation. So to highlight some of them: the cellular senescence, disabled macroautophagy, dysbiosis, which means macrobiota status disruption, mitochondrial dysfunction, and others are the hallmarks of aging. So let's address a few of them in short sentences. So the normal cell having decent structure, and all the forms of of cellular bodies are solid. When we are getting biologically older, the structure of cell is decreasing, and then the entropy is rising. So the mass, I would say, is bigger. This is the process that is not irreversible. So we can regain the cellular structure and the health of the cells with some of the interventions in this aspect. The second one, the most I wouldn't say important, but the most research and the most marketed is the autophagy. But people usually are forgetting that majority of this research is made on yeast and on laboratory rodents and so on. But autophagy is indeed is happening in human body too, and we, on this short and visual, we can see what is the process of recycling the cellular material in some terms in which autophagy is fast. So autophagy has 3 main channels or sensors which can activate it and accelerate it. We have like 2 stop buttons and 2 go buttons. Usually people are forgetting that the mTOR, which is highly correlated with protein intake, is the main brake part of autophagy process, and the MPK and sirtuins can usually accelerate it. But what is most often not speaking enough about is that physical activity is maybe the more potent activator of MPK pathway comparing to fasting. And people usually when speaking about autophagy are speaking only about fasting. It's really not so correct. Sorry. So we can activate MPK pathway with physical activity, with heat and cold, with all the stressors we put our body into it. So usually when we are talking about stress, there is a a term of hormesis. So really the hormesis is when we have a small amount of any stressor that make us the benefits, or it's beneficial dose, but always does makes the poison. So even sauna, cold plunges, and all other, I would say, sirtuins in form of sirtuin activators in form of supplements can easily become toxic and present more harm than good to us. When speaking about exercise, we can see on the right side there is decent possibility to have too low amount of exercise and also be too high in exercise, people are often overtraining themselves and making more harm than good to them. So the education is the key to know to find the right amount of exercise and anything else in your life which will bring you benefits. So when we're speaking about longevity research, usually we are not, we as humans not living in laboratory environment, and majority of the studies are made on simple organisms like nematodes, like Drosophila, like rodents, but we cannot and we should not make some important and big conclusions from those animals, because human nature and human organism is much more diverse and much more complex to just have some of the those bold statements made on mouse to be actual and correct for humans. Just to mention one fact, when a mouse doesn't eat for 24 hours, it loses up to 20% of body mass. We know this cannot be achieved in human in no way. So usually this is also the consequence, because of the mouse metabolism is around 6.5 times faster than human. And usually the most most often mistake is when people are fasting 16 hours and believing that it will make something important for their autophagy process, which is a big delusion. So we have, as the literature is saying, the longest living human so far in data is Jean Calment. She was 122 years old, and she did everything wrong regarding all of those longevity hacks that we are now presenting to the audience. But let's see what can we do on humans, not on rodents, not on nematodes. So we must learn to read the scientific literature. We must not take seriously rodent studies which are shown on this pyramid. There is a big risk of bias, and there is a low amount of human involvement in those. We have the top of the hierarchy: systemic reviews, meta-analysis, and RCT and cohort studies, and I will present a few of them here just to see what we learned so far regarding human longevity, not animal longevity. And then when we are analyzing it, we shouldn't have and give any importance to feelings and opinions. We must and should focus on the data. So the big part of the solution is the nutrition. Today, even the nutritionists are speaking about this long ago dated pyramid that has starches in foundation, but modern lifestyle is totally opposite, and this nutrition pyramid is totally out of date. What we should do, and we should learn to all of the people, that we need some restrictions in nutrition today, because the modern standard is really sad, meaning standard American diet, but also literally it is sad. So what we could do regarding nutrition, probably we should make some restrictions regarding nutrients. I bolded here maybe the least restrictive, but also a big change to standard American diet, which is Mediterranean diet. And all of those other mentioned restrictions are I would say they are not something that I would recommend to anyone, disregarding only maybe some health status disruptive. But today everything is better than the standard American diet. What is very popular in longevity public is the time limitation. So limitation of feeding period, introducing fasting periods, the so-called feeding and fasting windows. So this 16:8 is time restricted feeding, very popular, but as I mentioned before, 16 hours is not enough. Not long enough period to accelerate the autophagy process significantly. And of course, if we want to lose body weight, meaning body fat especially, we need to intake calories intake limit according to the expenditure. So the newest pyramid is the one I took from Harvard School of Public Health. There are also not some it is not totally up to date regarding scientific research, because now we know the red meat that is unprocessed present no health risk. And also, for example, those multivitamins, if our nutrition is solid, it probably is not so important and not needed. So today, in the core and foundation of this pyramid is a lifestyle, so daily exercise, weight control, high nutrient-dense foods, also sleep and stress management. And then we can start speaking about the other things after we addressed our sleep and we addressed our workout regime and like nutrition foundations. So where can we start our longevity journey? People today are not walking at all. The walking as an activity is totally it is so neglected, and people are not aware of how big importance is it. It is not a workout. Walking is like a daily hygiene. So usually people are talking, you must walk 10,000 steps a day. According to literature, about 7,050 and 8,000 steps is maybe good enough for start. Then we can see also the direct correlation between obesity and moderate cardio activity with walking, cycling, and some other, like I would say, lifestyle choices, when we can see that people in some parts of Europe are using their legs and their bikes much more often comparing to USA, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and some of parts of Europe, of course. Then we have some of the top of the hierarchy studies from 2002, then again confirmed in 2018, where we can see the direct correlation of strength and muscle mass with longevity perspective for humans. So we can for sure say that muscle mass and muscle strength is the fountain of youth. There is no supplement or no fasting protocol that is fountain of youth. The muscle mass is. Also, we have numerous papers that confirm that. So from 2019 and 2022, the last year, the same conclusions. So when people of every age group was in low muscle mass, it was associated directly with high risk of death in the next period. Also, all those tests, meaning the gait speed, the hand grip strength, and so on, that show our muscle mass and muscle strength are directly correlated with longevity and the all-cause mortality ratios. Next to muscle mass, the second parameter of physical strength and physical an active lifestyle is the cardiorespiratory fitness. And today we know from the study from 2018, Mansagar and alumni, that VO2 max, like predictor of our cardiovascular fitness, is direct correlated with longevity, with all-cause mortality. And what is really nice to see that the biggest gap is between the low group and below average group. So we don't need to be elite or higher than average. We just don't want to be in the bottom 25% regarding VO2 max. So the last thing I would like to address here today regarding scientific studies is the microbiota, something that we as a modern society totally forgot until, I would say, 2 years ago, when on Stanford, the Sonnenberg lab issued a study that showed the influence of fermented foods on gut microbiome diversity. And when we search the literature more, we can see even in 2012 that the gut microbiota composition directly correlates with health and longevity in elderly, which is confirmed last year in few months ago in Chinese longevity hub, where the centenarians had a bigger gut microbiome diversity than teenagers in their own city. So meaning the gut microbiome is something we cannot neglect when speaking about longevity. Who to follow? The longevity industry is really, I wouldn't say who do not recommend to follow, but I would like to emphasize the work of Peter Attia. He's the one that is not selling any product, any longevity hack, which is probably only marketing, nothing scientifically proven. We have this not so popular opinion that resistance training is the fountain of youth, but we need to earn the muscles, we need to put the work in. We don't have any shortcut, any hack to build a muscle mass besides training, stress control, sleep, and proper nutrition. So what can we really apply from all of this in our lives? As I said, number one risk factor is obesity or elevated body mass, body fat, sorry. So we need to address the nutrition, address the physical activity, and for start, slash the body fat percentage, because there is no longevity hack such as healthy body fat levels. Next steps, as I said, 7.5 to 8K steps per day is like a hygiene and the proper foundation of our longevity journey. Also, low strength and muscle mass sarcopenia, we saw on those visuals that and MRI scans that it is not age dependable, it is only activity dependable. We must use resistance training as this fountain of youth tool. And we know now from also the meta-analysis that 1.6 grams per kilogram of protein per day is maybe a sweet spot for each and every one of us to emphasize the muscle mass and the muscle protein synthesis. Mitochondrial function and health, we saw the foundation of cardiorespiratory fitness is the zone 2 training, meaning training our mitochondria. Usually those 2.5 hours and 150 minutes are proposed like a minimal optimum for the foundations of our cardiovascular health. And then we also have this systemic low-grade inflammation, which is the hallmarks of aging. And we need all those lifestyle parameters we spoke about before addressed to lower the systemic low-grade inflammation. So when the foundations of cardiorespiratory fitness via zone 2 training is achieved, then we can work on our VO2 max. Usually one training per week is enough when the foundations are solid to be at least in top 25 of your age and gender. Then all those hallmarks of aging, cellular senescence, autophagy, mitophagy decline, and so on, we have those potent AMPK activators such as physical activity to reverse the aging and to get biologically younger than we are today. And also for the very end, low microbiome diversity, balance, and functionality. We have the tools in fermented foods. We have tools in dietary fiber and polyphenols. This is something that we should include in our diet regularly each and every day. So can we measure the inflammation levels as I spoke with before? I think we can. GlycanAge is now getting more and more awareness. It is scientifically proven test from Glycan Lab here in Croatia. It's a biological test that can address and detect the low-grade inflammation levels in our body. So there is a really top-class scientist in the board of this company, led by Gordon Lautz. He is one of the most promising and most renewable scientists in the area of glycans. Also the Team Spectre, I believe most of you heard about him, is also in his board. And there are like 5 or 6 of us in a care team that we are providing the services of support and advising our clients to improve their biological age and so on. So also in Croatia, we have one nice startup that long ago started to research and to work on fermented foods, make them easy to consume each and every day, because we know it's not so convenient and not so practical. So the Biome crew is making like longevity library of fermented micro drinks, and they are now developing the AI tool to scan and to progress to optimize our gut microbiome, and via stool test and via psychological questionnaires to start optimizing our gut health, and we will for sure start optimizing our longevity prospect as well with it. So just a few words about me. I have a PhD degree in engineering chemistry in the field of biotechnology. Later I pursued some education in physical activity and fitness, and also in exercise nutrition and precision nutrition. I also have a nutrigenomic certificate. And if you are interested in collaboration, or if you have any question, please find me on some of those social media channels, and I will be glad to speak with you and to get in touch. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer it. Thank you.